In my latest project, I was able to use the Emboss tool to create a seamless pattern that wraps around this enclosure. In this tutorial, I'll show you how you can do a similar effect. So I have a tab here open and I have a profile on the floor plane. And just to go inside of it, you'll see that there's no dimensions to it. It's just a spline curve that closes and it has a couple tangent handles. So what we'll do is let's go ahead and extrude this out to, let's say, 100 millimeters. And to create an emboss that's going to wrap around the whole thing, I'll start with creating an offset plane. The emboss tool doesn't like sketches that are like inside your shape, so we're going to use this offset plane to kind of go outside of the shape to create our pattern that we're going to wrap around the surface. So I'll click on that offset plane, create a new sketch, and just to kind of keep this simple, I'm just going to do a rectangle like this and hit OK. Next, we'll go ahead and do the emboss. So I'll bring up the emboss feature, select our profile, and then select our face. Let's make this depth a little bit bigger too, and hit OK. So the idea here is we want this rectangle to wrap around the whole thing. So how do we do that? All we got to do is figure out what the length of this of the shape is. So we'll use our measuring tool and just click on either the bottom or the top edge here. And it'll tell you right away what the length is. So it's 419.355. We can just click to copy that into our clipboard. And now we can go to the sketch here and we'll apply that dimension to it. And it should wrap around seamlessly with no gap. So there's a line here, but it is seamless. They kind of mates there pretty well. And if we wanted to apply a chamfer to it, there's some weirdness to it. The chamfer doesn't tend to work sometimes, but in this case, it seems to work okay. But if the chamfer doesn't work, we can always select the inside edge, and that seems to work okay. It's funny that that it works in this case. So there, we have a nice simple thing that wraps around this weird spline shape. But let's say we want to do something like this, fun wave shape. How would we do that? So let's go ahead and kind of delete what we have here. Go ahead and go into the sketch that we set up. And what we'll do is let's delete that. And I'm going to start with a line, just a single line, make sure it's straight, and then apply our total length to that line. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a wave. So we need to think about how many sections of waves do we want in this total enclosure. So let's say we want 10 waves. So what we'll do is we have this number and we'll bring up our calculator and we'll paste in that number and say we want 10 waves to go across this thing. So we'll divide this by 10 and that'll give us the size that we want each section of our wave pattern to be. So this is the number. I'll go ahead and copy that and I'll create our wave using the spline tool. I'll make sure to click on that first dot here in this line. And then we're just going to create 1, 2, and then hit done. So we're only creating one piece of the section, and we can now grab our tangent handles to create this curve. And you see as I'm moving the curve, it's also curving it out here. So now what we need to do is we need to apply a dimension from this dot to this dot. And it's going to be that section number that we have copied already in our clipboard because we did the math. And that's the distance. So if we want this in the exact middle, this middle point, we can apply another dimension, take that section and divide that by 2. And now it's in the dead center. And then to final this off, I'll select the main line here and then just turn it into a construction line. You can either do it with the hotkey or do it here in the options for the sketch palette. Finish sketch. Now what we want to do is use our extrude, change the extrude to thin extrude, select that line, and then we can apply a distance and then a wall thickness. We do want to change the wall location to center, so it's in the center of that. So if we look at it dead on, you'll see that it's in the center there. And maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger, like 2. Hit OK. All right, now we can use the rectangular pattern feature to pattern this body. And we'll use our our construction line here to be our axis, and then we'll just push this out. And then to get the right distance, we'll just paste in the number we have. But if you look here carefully, if we zoom in, you'll see that the bodies actually are not lining up, and that's because the spline, the tangent handles of the spline curve are not like symmetrical. They're not exact. So we can do that. Let's hit cancel. Go back into our sketch that has the curve, and what we can do is you can click on the tangent handle and apply a sketch dimension. Yes, you can apply sketch dimensions to tangent handles. So we'll say we want a length of 15. And another thing we'll do to make it super precise is we'll apply an angle from the tangent angle to the tangent handle to our line here. So let's just say like 42, just to round it off. And now we can grab this tangent handle and do equal constraint and constrain it to this length here. So now it's the exact same length. And then also we want it to be precise, so we'll apply that same angle that we did in our first tangent handle. So what was it, 42? And it's moving around, but it's just because this line isn't like locked to anything, so it's free to move around. But now we have these two tangent angles that are equally constrained, and they have the same angle of degree from this line. So looking pretty good. So let's finish that sketch. Go back into our rectangle pattern, select our body, select our axis, push it out, and then apply that distance. And if we zoom in, you'll see that it is perfectly lined up end to end. And we want 10 of these, right? Because we did the math, the section. When we do 10 of these, it'll be the full length of this shape. So we'll create the bodies, and a quick way to combine them all together is to use the combine. We'll select the first one in this list, hold down Shift, and then select the last one, and that will select all of them for you, and hit OK. And then we're left with one body. So now we need to use this body to create a projected sketch. So I'll select the surface of this body and bring up the projection command. That's a hotkey, and then I'll project in that that surface into the sketch. So now we can use this sketch to create an emboss. So let's see if this works. So emboss, select our profile, select our face, hit enter, and now we have a seamless pattern that wraps around this very strange shape. And you'll see there's some weirdness here when creating the emboss, but it works okay. Like I was able to print this no problem. So let's see if we wanted to change the thickness of our shape here. We can change this thickness to, let's say, 4. Hit OK, and it just updates there. Another thing is, if you don't like where the placement of is, you can either do two things. You can use the alignment, so you can change the distance of the horizontal and vertical angle. You can even rotate it if you want. But it tends to be pretty slow when you do that. So what I'd rather do is just go back to that main sketch and then just move it where you want. Maybe you want the pattern to kind of be in a different spot. So you can just move it that way, or you can constrain this line wherever you want. Right now I don't have it constrained to anything, so that's why it's able to move around. One last thing I'll say is if you want to apply a chamfer, let's see what happens. If you were 3D printing this, you would want to chamfer either this edge or that edge. I prefer doing this this inner edge here. So let's say 1, or in this case 2, to do the full depth of it, and then we can apply the second one there. It takes Fusion a little bit of time to calculate it because it's asking for a lot. But now we have this kind of birthday cake looking thing. But yeah, that's how you can create a seamless pattern that wraps around your weird spline shape. Another thing I'll note is that if you wanted to shell this out, Fusion kind of has an issue shelling it out. So let's say we want this to be 2 millimeters thick. It's going to take forever to calculate because there's a lot of processing that needs to happen. And if we zoom in, you'll see here that where it meets, it actually has an issue. So the easiest way I was able to remedy that is to not use the shell command, or to rather shell it before you apply your emboss. So in this case, I'll shell it, hit 2. Now I have my shell, go forward in time, and the emboss should work. There you go. So that's one issue. And also say another thing here, to create this shape, I ran into an issue where the sketch would throw an error, rather the emboss would throw an error. So what I ended up doing is, instead of doing 10 sections, I did 9 sections, and then I created a standalone section for the last 10th section, and positioned it properly using the dimension of the segment. I was able to offset it a bit, and then create to close that gap, so to speak, with that separate emboss. So you can chain embosses together for something complex like this, and then even apply a pattern, so you can patternize the embosses too. So there's a little bit of a trickery that you can do if it doesn't end up working out. Just apply another emboss to it. But the main thing is to take the total length of your shape to create that seamless pattern, and then just divide it by how many segments you need, and that's how you can create a fun seamless pattern that wraps around those weird shapes.